It's time for Class Racing Today, the podcast for the NHRA class racing fan. Welcome back to Class Racing Today, classracingtoday.com. Email classracingtoday@gmail.com. This episode once again brought to you by Tim Stickles, Gutters by Design. Thanks, Tim, for your support for Class Racing Today. This is episode 39, gentlemen. Brian, once again, it's raining in South Dakota. Bobby's basking in the sun on the East Coast. How are you today, Brian?
We're doing good. It's not raining that much. Like, the big storm missed us, so it is what it is. I think it's just symbolic of another drag strip gone. The death of another drag strip. Maybe that's how we should say it. Oahe Speedway in Pierce, South Dakota.
Boo.
Is no more.
We need some sad violin music.
Yeah, I don't play the violin. It is sad. That was, I'm trying to think. I think that was probably the second racetrack I went to. Yeah, it's 3 hours from my house. There's always a little animosity about the surface, and everybody wants to complain about things, and there's always someplace better to go, but now it's an option that's gone, so that's kind of sad. Think about that. When you're complaining about everything about your local track, it could not be there, and you'd have to drive an extra 3 hours. So between that and then there's actually another track about the same distance in Iowa that is on the verge of being no more too. So I think as racers, we need to support the tracks and be more friendly to the people trying to do it, maybe. And on that sad note, how's it going, Bobby?
All right. Same as always. Jersey. Actually, today it's not raining. We had a couple scares. They said the nor'easter. We got the warnings on our phones and everything, which makes me nervous because we have a lot of huge dead trees surrounding our house. So getting ready to duck and cover.
Are you dressed up for Halloween?
Other than that,
Halloween dead trees or what?
Yeah, sure. And then you got me worried about Atco Dragway, which I is always kind of dealing with its own issues. But rumor has it should be remaining a racetrack, at least for next season anyway. So we had a little bit of good news here because that track's only about 45 minutes from my current residence, and we have a Division 1 event there and a bunch of stock super stock combo races there for our local association. So if that track were to close, I would be heartbroken, to say the least.
Yeah, the list is getting long of expiring tracks. And I guess that's why we do this, right? We're trying to bring education and pump a little life back into the sport.
So is it just hard to run a track? Is there less interest in it? Do they just wear down and it's too expensive to try to replace the strip? What is the cause of these places shutting down?
Well, I know. So the problem with Pier, from what the information I've got, the location wasn't perfect, right? So it's next to the divider between eastern and western South Dakota. Kind of in the middle of nowhere. There wasn't a lot of population there. It was probably 15 miles north of the closest town. But the setting was really cool. It overlooked the Missouri River. It was beautiful. There was power at almost every spot. It had full hookups on the whole front row. A construction guy built it, and I think he ran into some money problems. So when he pulled out, a bunch of racers got together. They would take, one guy would buy all the track prep stuff, somebody else would buy all the trophies, and they ran that way for quite a while. And then apparently, from what I understand, is he basically wanted to sell it. There was a couple investors. There was issues over what comes with what and what it's worth. It needed a new surface. The worst part about it is when they put the surface down, there was something a little weird, and it just didn't have a lot of bite. My only downfall with that track is it got really hot. technically central South Dakota in the summer when the sun is beating down. It was a really hot place to go. But the service had a few little issues just getting things to hook. We ran our super stock races there. And people would always complain about how crappy the track surface was and this and that. And they were actually trying to put a new surface on it. The problem with that part of our state is that's where 90% of our recreational money probably comes in. I know they were working on a lease to take it over, and they offered $45,000 a year to lease the track from the new owner, and he said he can make $100,000 just off of camping off of the front row alone.
Oh, jeez.
And the sad thing is, I wish they would have, like maybe as a Racers Association, they should have utilized those camping spots when it wasn't a racetrack. You know, if you're going to race every other weekend, rent the spots out. I mean, 7 days a week, that thing will fill up. It's crazy the amount of campers and people that come in there for fishing and recreation. That could have generated a lot of money to put in and keep it going, but once again, a great idea I've had too late.
You see more money. Bobby, is that kind of the same sentiment up there too?
No, I don't know. I don't camp. The only camping I've ever done is at a racetrack or at a NFL football game for the day. So I'm not like, I don't get in the motorhome and go fishing or anything like that. I'm not really, I guess, that outdoorsy or fun for that matter. See if our guest is a kid. Hey, Mr. Guest, are you a camper? Do you like hang outdoors in the great outdoors?
I've done a little camping. I'm not really a big fisherman or a hunter, but I do a little fishing from time to time.
See, I've never even hunted in my life. I've fired like guns at the range before, you know, maybe once or twice, but
sure,
never really quite understood the hunting thing.
Bobby can't even hunt the stripe. And
oh my goodness!
Come on, Bobby.
Yeah, so I have like one little wall back here. I just couldn't imagine hanging a freaking deer's head on it. Like, this place is too small. So.
I was trying to come up with like 5 random questions to ask every guest, and I literally had, "What is your favorite pastime not racing?" And you just took it like you're like, "Do you camp? Do you hunt? Do you fish?"
Oh, there we go. There goes 2 of them. For anybody who's not aware, we have a very famous superstar of a guest today. We try to get superstars on, you know, and they're hard to come by. But we've had a few in the last few weeks. But this guy, you know, he just wins all the time. We asked him if he got bored of it, but he says he hasn't gotten bored of it yet. Mr. Jimmy Hidalgo, straight out of Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Jimmy, my first question for you is, and then Brian can ask you about fishing and hunting. Your nicknames. You got Cooter Hidalgo, you got the Country Puppy, and then while you're at it, your father's the Country Dog. Start explaining. How'd you get all these?
Okay, well, I'm gonna start with Cooter. Really not a great story. I wish there was a better story because people ask me sometimes, you know, and you want to have a good story, but my grandmother just pinned it on me when I was very young, probably a baby. I used to go to her house. She lived next door when I was growing up, and she just used to call me her little Cooter. So I don't know what that was about. Maybe Dukes of Hazzard reference in there somehow. Maybe I was, because I was playing in the dirt a lot as a kid, so maybe from being dirty, Cooter on Dukes of Hazzard was always dirty. I also heard a little bit of that in there.
We also have another racer, Division II, Cooter Williamson. So this nickname is not unique to just you, pal. There's other. We have more of them. So we'll have to get him on one day and get his story. So how about the Country Dog and Country Puppy?
Okay, well, it starts with the Country Dog, and years ago, my dad had his '69 Camaro, and he was running that. I think he was in Baton Rouge, and something about a car he had, and he had swapped a motor in it, and he was running at the track, and I don't know if he didn't even predict what it would run, and he left the start line, and rust flew out the exhaust, and just dirt falling out the back of the car, and it ran pretty well, and then one of the guys at the track said, "Man, that thing ain't nothing but an old country dog," and it just kind of stuck on it. So he put the name on the side of the car and stuck with that since. And then from there, when I was about to start racing junior dragster, and just I figured since he was the country dog at that time, I was the country puppy. So I just came up with that on my own.
All right, interesting. Okay. I remember meeting your dad for the first time. I had to race him down in Gainesville about 5 or 6 years ago. And when I went up to him to flip the coin, I was like, "Hey, I'm Bobby Fazio. Nice to meet you." And he didn't say I'm Jimmy Hidalgo Sr. He just said, "I'm the country dog." Heads or tails.
Yeah.
And then he beat me.
Did the intimidation must have worked then?
Yeah. I was frightened. He didn't even have a name.
Bobby, you gotta think about this the other way though. Next time you go to the race and they're there, just turn on Who Let the Dogs Out when you go by their pit.
I could do that in my stalker. Up until last year, I had the radio in it with the speakers and everything, and power windows. Could have rolled them down.
Another brief story I got is I finally got him upgraded to an iPhone last year, and his ringtone is the dog barking.
Fitting, very
Yeah.
good. Speaking of like power windows and radios, like I had, you have a 2004 GTO and stock Eliminator, and you have a 99 Firebird and Super Stock. I mean, both those cars probably have power windows and or radios in them. What do you got? Anything good in there?
Yep, power windows in both. That's it.
Does it ever worry you? Like I'm always afraid like that power window is going to let me down when I'm trying to roll into the water box and it's like not going to go up. Have you ever had an issue like that? Or not? Can you calm my fears?
It does occur to me. I've had an issue once. The Firebirds generally had more issues with the power window motors. But generally when I always, those you could kind of tell when they start getting weak. So I just always made sure if I thought something was going wrong, I made sure to put a new one.
Replace that shit immediately. Yes. So let's get into these cars here. I guess there's a lot of backstory with what you do for a living and then how you got these cars. So why don't you tell us first what you do for a living and then how it led into these cars that you race?
Okay, well, we have a used car lot and we buy cars, wreck cars from the insurance auctions, and we repair them, fix them, and we warranty everything we sell. And I do a lot of the repair work, but I do some of the office work too. I'm the IT guy, I guess you could say. My dad's not too savvy with computers and stuff, so I gotta make sure all of that's running and some of the paperwork and stuff. But that's kind of, I mean, my dad's been racing for years, so when I got old enough to race juniors, obviously that was just a natural thing for me, and because I've always been around the racetrack. And you know, when it was time to build a car, you know, I mean, being in the business where we're in, buying cars from the auction, that was just, you know, the natural option to obtain a car to make a race car out of.
So you guys built both cars yourself there in house?
Yeah. One the Firebird, like I said, some of the work had already been done on it, and we basically completed it. It had like a roll bar in it, and at the time it had mini tubs and 10.5-inch tires, which now we tubbed it. We put 13.5-inch tires on it and finished the roll cage. I rewired everything, plumbed the fuel, pretty much, you know, redid the suspension, shocks and all, brakes.
Which car did you have first?
The first car, my dad's Corvette, we debuted it in 2011, and the GTO would have been next in 2013. But also I do still have the blue Firebird. It used to have flames on it, but I redid it all blue, and then I wrapped it into a similar fashion of the black car. But it doesn't see the track anymore. I usually bracket race it, and I've been having that car since 2006.
All right, so let's talk about the GTO. It's a 2004 GTO, and you run it in e-stock automatic, correct?
Correct.
What's the combination advertised and NHRA rated for that car?
The advertised is 350, and the NHRA rating is 340.
Oh, so D-rated. That's generous. Okay. So let's get into the nuts and bolts of the GTO. So you guys got it from the used car dealings that you do, and you built the car yourself, as you said. As far as engine, drivetrain and all that, who builds your motors?
Don Pellicino has been doing a lot of our machine work and stuff. And I mean, my dad, he does a lot of the work, assembly work and stuff himself. Joey Wilkes has done an engine for us for that one. And we kind of maintain them ourselves, like my dad will take the motor out if it's time to rebuild it, tear it down, get it honed, order the parts, just reassemble, just kind of a basic fresh and not really updating or trying to do anything special with it.
Right now, you guys make some serious power. I saw the other day. Guess you got the urge to qualify number one, huh? And you let it rip.
Yeah. I tend to not do it early on. If I look at the qualifying, see there's an odd number of cars, or if I see it's a favorable ladder to have a buy at a certain time, and then I'll kind of make that decision if I think I'm capable of doing it, and then just go ahead and do it. And that was just one of those days. I looked at it after the second run, had 93 cars. I said, let's see if we can make it happen. Worst case scenario, if I would miss number one, if I get number two, I'm still in line for a buy second round. So not one of those deals where maybe you only have a buy first round and you miss, and then there is no other buy, or you're not having a buy to the semi. So
no, the GTO is kind of a hard car to make work. I mean, did you struggle making it work right away, or did you figure it out pretty quick?
Yeah, we did struggle with it at first. Not as far as, I don't think it didn't really have traction issues for us. It didn't work like we thought it would. It wasn't as fast as we thought it should be. Obviously when I first started with it, I took the drivetrain straight out of the Firebird and put in there. So you kind of equate, okay, well, you're adding this much weight to it, it should run this. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but it wasn't anywhere close to what we thought it should have been.
Because they're a pretty heavy car, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a long wheelbase, and it's a pretty heavy car. The minimum is 3570, and that's the lightest class you can run in E. And the wheelbase is 110 inches too. So compared to the Firebird is 101 maybe. I think it's 101 for the Firebird, so quite a bit longer wheelbase.
I don't know why I never would have guessed that. Yeah, I for some reason thought that GTO had a shorter wheelbase, but I never knew it was that heavy. That's pretty crazy. So it's a natural F car, you're saying, and you moved up to E with it?
Correct.
Okay. And that's an LS motor, right? LS1
Yep.
or okay. How about the transmission? What kind and who builds that?
Yeah, it's a turbo action. We've been using turbo action for years, and they just have some very quality transmissions, get a lot of runs out of them, very dependable.
E-shift, metric 200 E-shift?
Metric 200 E-shift.
Jimmy.
Sorry to disappoint you, Bobby.
I'm out. That's the end of the episode today, everybody. Have a great day.
You can just log off, Bobby. The men will stay.
I'll log off. See you guys.
The men will stay here and talk LSs. Did you? What do you run for front suspension?
I have two sets of shocks. Randy Mans does all of my shocks with fast shocks, and I have a set of Conies and a set of AFCOs. The Conies are the ones I started with, and they're kind of my backup set now. And that we got the AFCOs. We worked on them a few times and got those working pretty good. So I've used both of them. They both work pretty well. The Conies are only single adjustable. That's why we went to the AFCOs. They're double adjustable.
I know Billy Gibbs out west was having issues trying to get his GTO to work and sent him demands. And I know he said it made a huge difference with that guy knows how to make front ends work.
Yeah, he's very good to work with, and if you have issues, you got to send it back. good about getting it back to you, and trying to find the best combination that'll work for your particular car.
Now the fuel injection, Jimmy, are you using? I feel like you and I have talked a couple years ago about this. Do you use the fast system?
Yes, all of our cars have the fast system. We've been using them for probably at least 10 years, I would say, maybe a little bit longer than that.
And it looks like it's been treating you very well, and your car is deadly consistent. Now, I think I asked you years ago when I was setting mine up if you were in Alpha N or the speed density, and are you willing to share which one you're in?
Yeah, I'm running an Alpha N. A lot of people prefer speed density because it's less tuning generally once you get it right. But I've tried both. I've run both. I just always preferred Alpha N. To me, it's easier to get the car to idle better, make it more drivable. A lot of people just don't like the fact that it doesn't take into account, unless you configure it to do so, which you can. If you spend the time, you can configure it to make fuel adjustments based on the air temperature, or it also has a barometric map where you can configure that to actually take into account the barometric pressure. But generally, I'll make tweaks myself, if need be. But I mean, generally, we've never run at Denver. That would be, you would take somewhere very dramatic to have a real big change. Even Vegas isn't a huge adjustment.
Really? Yeah, because I was going to say you are in the Louisiana. So let's say you're running at Bella Rose, and then you move up to Bristol. I mean, that's a big jump, isn't it? So
yeah,
it doesn't, even in Alpha N, do you have to mess with the table, or just, I know a lot of people that run Alpha N just mess with fuel pressure a little bit and just raise that or lower it to try and get the air fuel ratio they're looking for. What do you kind of do to what works for you?
I usually just adjust the map. I mean, sometimes, like I said, it's not too often I have to do it. Like you said, Bristol sometimes, but I'll have a program saved for Bristol is what I'll also do. So sometimes I may just go ahead when I get there, load it in. Or if not, I'll just I'll make the first run, make the fine tune adjustments if needed, and then it'll be good from there, because it's generally very small adjustments, and it's almost, sometimes it's not even much ET wise, just more to satisfy me to make the air fuel ratio aesthetically pleasing.
I hear you. So do you run it then in closed loop or open loop?
I'm running in closed loop right now. I've ran in open loop for years. I really, I don't really see much difference one way or the other. I just closed loop is better. Like if you do go somewhere that's a good bit different, it'll kind of compensate, where if you would need to make adjustment, at least if it's in closed loop, it's already made the adjustment for your first run. So you're not kind of wasting a run, I guess you could say. You're probably not going to pick up any ET after you make the adjustment, but you can, it just keeps it a little closer. But I do have it in a very small window of tuning. Like I only allow it to tune 5% each way. So,
Mm-hmm. So let's say you make that first run and it's correcting, 4%, making it richer going down the track. So obviously the tune is a little bit too lean. Do you just leave it alone and let it just keep correcting at the 4%, or will you go in there and actually enrich the table a little bit, 4%, to try and get it to be perfect?
Yeah, usually I'll adjust it to make it perfect. But like I said, it's if you had tracks in the same area, generally you're not gonna mess with it much. Now, if you're getting some really, really good air beginning or end of the year, where you're running 40, 50 degree temperatures, then a lot of times you'll be adding fuel to try to, make up for that. But generally, if you're in average air, it's pretty steady.
All right. Well, there you go, folks. I'm giving you pearls here. Fast XFI, Alpha N, closed loop for the time being. And you can go out and win races like Jimmy Hidalgo. Never mind being a good driver or anything like that, right? Just the fuel injection part.
So do you run the same
Let's
setup?
talk about the other car.
Do you run the same setup on your super stocker then?
Yes.
right, so same setup you're saying. And actually, what the 99 Firebird, Brian and Jimmy, remind me, is that going to be an LS1 also? Is that same motor and everything?
Yep, same engine.
Oh, it's wonderful. So you can interchange parts if you have to. Then, like, if one car's down for the count, you can, in a pinch, like fix it or take parts off the other car and put it on here.
Yeah, well, the super stocker is, it's a true super stocker, so really not a whole lot of transfer over to the other one. But if I would be in a situation where I could put a stocker motor in the super stocker and get by, so it is good to have that option.
All right, and then the trans again, what the turbo action trans in the super stocker.
No, the super stocker has a pro trans in it.
Oh, pro trans. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, pro trans out of Texas. So you're spreading the business around a little bit. And then for the super stocker, I'm assuming Dad and you do all your own assembly while the machine work gets done by the local fellow down the street.
Yep, Don Pellicino. He's like I said, he's been doing a lot of work. We go to his shop, we work there with him. He does all the machine work. He's got a dyno there, so if we want dyno, we could put it on a dyno there. So it works out really well for us. And he's also got a stocker too, so he's familiar with stock, super stock stuff. He's very very meticulous about checking everything. So it makes it easier. Even if he checks everything over, we know everything. When we putting it back together, we know it's perfect.
What do you run for rear suspension on that car?
On this with the super stocker?
Yeah.
It's all AFCO shocks around. It's got a 4-link. It used to be torque on when I still had the small tires on it, but in 2019, I think it was Bristol is the place that's where I spun with the small tires. And after I lost the race because of that, I think it might have been quarterfinals or semifinals. And I had the tree. I was double on the tree, and I said after that, I said I'm not doing this anymore. We just got to do it. The car was already mini tub, so it was like I didn't feel like I was really cutting it up. Like my blue Firebird, it could really still be running stock if I wanted to, and I really didn't want to cut it up. So I just said, well, let's just do it. We're going all out. I can't lose a race like that again. So, and that's it was in 2019 we did that, and I debuted it in Bowling Green in 2019 with the big tires.
Yeah, I've been on the fence about that. I forgot I wanted to go super stock, but I'm like, man, that torque arm just works so good. Like 99% of the time, it's not going to spin, and if it does, it's probably something I did. But start making more power, it's definitely an issue.
Yeah, and I mean, I did very well with it. I mean, in 2014, I started running super stock, and I mean, I probably could have did some things that would have helped. The car, the way it's set up, has a lot of bottom end. So really, if you would have played around with it, gear ratios, I'm sure you could have gotten it better. But I just, I'm trying to go all out with it. I want it to be bulletproof. I want it to be as fast as it could be. So that's the best way I felt at that time, and the best insurance for making sure it doesn't spin. But yes, they do work very well. And I had a lot of success from all the way from 2014, 2019. It was just a couple times that I lost some big races because of it. So after a few times, I just had enough.
What do you run for? Whose converter do you run?
ATI. We have several converters. We have ATI, Cone, and turbo action as well.
Which car do you like driving better?
Probably the Firebird, I guess. I don't know. The GTO is pretty fun too.
According to Drag Insights, you have a better average reaction time in your GTO. So I thought you were going to say the GTO. I think you have more wins in the GTO too, right? But you've been racing it longer, so that's not a fair assessment.
Yeah, I've been racing it since 13, and I was kind of, when I first started in 14, I don't think I really ran a full schedule with super stock then, but then starting like 15, and so I was pretty much all in with it at that point.
No, I have a question about the GTO because the '04 GTO, they made those cars from like '04 to '06, I think. Didn't they come with independent rear suspensions?
Yes, they do. They come with independent, which a lot of a lot of the newer cars, that's what they come with. All the Camaros, Corvettes.
Now you're allowed to take that out, right?
Yes, you can convert it to solid rear axle, which even I know like the late Sammy Pizzolata, his Corvette was one of the first ones I think that it was converted, and I was not sure the exact year, maybe a 69 model, 70 model Corvette.
Okay. And then you can replace that with what do most people put in there? Like a GM 12 bolt rear?
Yeah, for the GTO it has to have the GM rear end, so it is a 12 bolt.
Right. Because in stock, you have to stay corporate with the rear. Super stock, you can run whatever rear you want. So in super stock, do you run a GM or do you run the Ford 9-inch?
Yeah, the Super Stocker has a 9-inch.
Okay.
When
So
we
you all
purchased
hate on Fords, but you all love that Ford 9-inch in super stock, right?
when we purchased it, it had a 9-inch in it already, and then when we ended up tubbing it, we stayed with the 9-inch because it was already all set up. So
There's definitely an advantage if a guy want to do gear changes to that thing. That's the one good thing Ford's come up with.
Oh yeah.
speaking of gear changes, story from Bristol, which I didn't end up winning in Bristol. I was doing pretty well. I made it to fourth round in both cars, and then kind of fell out in both. But after the first round, I had Brian O'Toole first round, and luckily for me, he was, I don't remember exactly who he was, but he was a little bit red. And when I launched, it broke the ring and pinion, and I knew it immediately. So I got back to the pits and started tearing it down. And my dad was still up. He hadn't ran yet. I don't know if you remember, if y'all talked about having to rerun a few pairs over there because of I think it was 3 pairs. The cars weren't even moving, and they made them go in deep stage and red lighted them. So they ended up rerunning him. So he wasn't there. I wasn't there to be there for the situation with him on the start line, and then I was back there tearing it down, trying to get prepared for round 2. And my uncle Phil, he was there with us, and his brother Georgie, he was there to help us too. But by the time they got back, I kind of had it where I pretty much had everything out. And before I even went up for first round of super stock, I had it back together. So that was definitely the fastest I've ever changed the rear end. But luckily, my Uncle Phil was there. So by the time I had it out, I had the other gear out the box, and he was checking the setup on it, and we put it all in and checked it, and everything was close enough to send it. We weren't looking to have it perfect, but we definitely had it close enough. We would be good, and everything worked out.
Impressive, man. Is that rear still in there, or did you have to mess with it since then?
No, it's still in there.
Great job. before you even went up for super stock. That is could use someone like you on the crew over here. I mean, we paying hot dogs though. And the occasional steak if we win. So you don't get too much steak. I'm just letting you know.
Hope you like hot dogs.
That was a cool story. So Jimmy, before you even got into race, Jimmy, how old are you? First of all,
34.
34. You still are the country puppy then, compared to Brian and I. But did you play any sports growing up?
Yeah, I played baseball pretty much my whole life. Never really played football. Played a little bit basketball, and when I got in high school, I did make the baseball team. So I ended up starting golf. Actually, I had never played golf in my whole life, and then in high school started with the golf team. Played for a few years and enjoyed that.
Have you ever golfed
golf,
against
yeah.
Double O Joe?
No.
I think you could take him.
And we should set it up. We should set up a tournament.
So is it true you have a fear of dogs?
No, actually, I don't really care for dogs a whole lot as far as the animal. I don't know, just like big dogs. I actually have a Yorkie, so I'm kind of okay with small dogs. But I just when I was a kid, actually, my grandfather had a dog, and I wouldn't say it really attacked me. He just kind of like jumped on me, and I think I fell to the ground or something. So kind of always just never really. Little, I guess there's a little irony there that don't really care for dogs, but I guess dogs are kind of territorial too. So maybe that's something there.
Well, I see Stan Sheila Holt posted that, but I misread it. The country dog is scared to death of dogs. The country
Your
puppy.
dad.
All right.
Yeah, he's definitely worse than me. He really doesn't like dogs. He did actually get bitten by a dog when he was young, and he had to get a tetanus shot, I think. So I think he kind of got scarred from that.
Fitting that his name is the country dog. Amazing. Jimmy, I'm surprised you're even spending time with us right now. How come you're not on the road to Vegas?
Well, my uncle, he's driving the rig up there for us. So we got pretty lucky. He's always there to help us, and glad everything worked out where I could get back and work a few days, and I'm gonna fly up there tomorrow.
All right. So according to my notes here, you are 7th in the world in stock. You have 536 points, and you've claimed 4 nationals and 7 divisionals. So you can hit the remaining 2 national events if you want, and 1 more divisional. And then in super stock, you are 5th, 570 points, and you've claimed 4 nationals and 7 divisionals. So same scenario. You have 2 more nationals you can run and 1 more divisional. Are you planning on doing all that? You're running Vegas and Pomona?
No, not planning on Pomona, but we'll just focus on one race at a time right now. So if we do well enough, if need be, that we would entertain it at that time. But just try to keep focus on the first task at hand, and kind of been my approach all season. Really, kind of had some bad luck, I guess, at the beginning of the season. A lot of close races. Sometimes they don't go your way, or making little small mistakes on your own that a few thousandths red, or giving a strike back a few thousandths, kind of bite you. And I really don't look at points much. I just try to go in week to week approach. Every time I go out, I try to win. I don't really try to worry about, I need this many points to move here or whatever. I just let the points fall where they may, and just go out and try to win every time I go.
Are you blocker or no block?
No block. Foot braking and no blocking.
In super stock too?
Yep, I do have a trans brake in the car, but I'm still foot braking.
Nice. All right, I'll let you have the E shift then.
What's your favorite track?
I would say probably Bristol and Vegas. Really, both of them always just seem to have pretty good success at both of them. The scenery is, anybody that's been there knows the scenery at both of them is beautiful. Slightly different, you got less greenery in Vegas, but a lot more greenery in Bristol. But just the mountains, being from the south, not really something you see around here. So it's just the views there, and always had good success at both.
Do you so you get over to Vegas, that's kind of in the middle there of your territory. Is there somebody from the West Coast that you want to line up to or don't want to line up to? Do you have an arch nemesis from the West Coast there?
No, not really. I don't really think about any arch nemesis or anything that, I just try to focus on whoever's my opponent that round. I don't really worry too much, about running whatever name you want to throw out there. I just try to do my thing. That's all you can do, is control what you do. So I just focus on that and do the best I can. You can't control what they do. And sometimes, running somebody better, they're going to be solid. So you just got to do the best you can, and hopefully it works out your way.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to that. Like, I like that as being a nobody. Like, when I went to St. Louis, I had nothing to prove. I figured I'd be sitting on the trailer after round one. So you're kind of the most deadly guy on the track when you have nothing to lose. It's the guy that's always in the final that has to be perfect every time.
Yeah, and that's the situation I'm in now, coming from behind, chasing points. I don't really feel that much pressure. There's no pressure. I'm chasing. I'm not the guy sitting in the lead getting nervous like, oh man, he's making points, so I got 2 or 3 guys under me. I got to make sure I'm making rounds. I've got nothing to lose right now. I'm just going out there trying to win every round.
Bobby would say that would play into a slow car mentality, where when you're the slow car, you're getting chased, you're just waiting for him to pass you. But
I wouldn't bring a slow car to Vegas, that's for sure. How do you deal with that wind out there, Jimmy? That doesn't seem to affect you, and dialing the car. I've heard it's really challenging out there. I've only been there to spectate. I've never raced on it.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging. My cars are fairly aerodynamic, so it's not, as crucial. If I'm running against a 66 Chevy 2, I'm probably going to take a note of his dial and, take that into consideration. If he's thinking, oh, it's 4 slower because of the wind, I'm probably not going to be as slow as he is. So just kind of keep that mentality and don't worry too much about it. You just got to it's hard to trust your car. I just generally in times like that, I try to trust my driving more than the car. So.
Driving is very trustworthy. So you hear that? Stan, Sheila, and J-Rod. If he matches up against you in Vegas, your non-aerodynamic cars are at a severe disadvantage against Jimmy Hidalgo.
Well, they're pretty keen on Chevy too, so they're pretty well seasoned with them, and I think J-Rod knows how to dial them in, and he knows the weather makes a big difference on them for sure. The wind.
Yeah, that he does. And those cars run great. I'm waiting for one of them to let me drive one of those cars. So, Jimmy, dude, thanks for joining us today. You have anybody that you want to thank for your continued success?
Yeah, Goodyear, VP Racing Fuels, Fast Shocks, Accelerated Graphics, Bullet Racing Cams, Don Pellicino does our machine work. Engines Inc., Mr. Lloyd Walford, he's always helping us out. He's always a pleasure to be with at the races and hang out with, and just a great guy. Stan and Sheila Holt, they're always fun to hang out with, and they're always there to support us as well. So just really appreciate all those guys, backing us, and just makes it a little easier and good to have good people in your circle.
do you have a favorite Tex-Mex restaurant?
Tex-Mex? Not really. Not really.
Sheila's going to give you a lashing.
Other than Lupe Tortilla.
There we go.
Of course. Not really. Not really
Born
big.
on the bayou, man.
They got some great margaritas and some great food.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I was hoping to come out to Vegas. I thought they were on the list, and obviously you're on the list, and I was looking forward to seeing you guys. And I will not be making it out there. And I was supposed to go out to Pomona, but you're unsure if you're going there. And I was going to drive a Super Stocker there, but the car has been sold. I am no longer driving it, and I withdrew from the event. So the rest of my season looks pretty boring. But good luck to you, Jimmy, out there in Vegas, and wish you success and a safe trip, obviously. And thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Bobby.
Awesome. Brian, where's your have you been keeping tabs on your engine through this process of love?
No, you're new to this. I'm planning on not even seeing it.
Oh.
It's not like Christmas Day, like where you just anticipate the day that shows up. It's like plus or minus 3 months. So I'm kind of doing out of sight, out of mind.
So you're just trying to stay busy doing other things?
I know it's in good hands. Now I'm just trying to work so I can pay for it. So
fantastic.
Any listeners out there that want to help sponsor a poor farm kid in South Dakota, we're taking applications.
Nice. This is Class Racing Today. Thanks, Bobby and Brian, for sitting down again. Thank you, Jimmy, for taking time out of your day. ClassRacingToday.com, ClassRacingToday@gmail.com. Thanks again to Tim Stickles for your support of Class Racing Today. If you'd like a t-shirt or sticker, ClassRacingToday@gmail.com. Send us a note. We can get that out to you. If you want to help support the show, you can also send us an email there. We appreciate all your support and all of the listeners out there. Share this out to all your friends and other racers around the country. And let's build this community even bigger. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great night or day. See you next time.